Hello my fellow freedom builders, and welcome back to the channel and to yet another video about going to the moon stocks. Now a couple of weeks ago, I think it was the 2nd of July, I made a video about some going to the moon stocks, or at least some stocks where I'm using what I call my jump trading or my swing trading strategy to spot some candidates that might be going to the moon in a metaphorical way, meaning that the stocks that really take off. And as you might recall, I did talk about all of the dangers here, talking about back in history when the Ford Motor Company, I think it was, that they had to have some blackboards in the factory room simply to have writers writing all the new stock prices so that the factory workers were staying on the job because they could stay home and make more trading the stock exchange. So what I said in this video is that just because we have some swing candidates here, I think it is a bit dangerous and I think it is risky business, but I have gotten a lot of requests here, so you got my candidates. Now, what I do like to do when I talk about stocks is that I like to follow up, because, you know, the easy part is just saying, hey, this stock I think might be going up, and then not really being held accountable to that. People just keep making videos about stocks they think are going to go up. So I do like to be held accountable by myself, by you, to see if the stock candidates I give are actually any good. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take a quick look at the stocks I recommended last time, or not recommended because they were not really recommendations, but I did have, I think it was 8 or 9 stocks I mentioned last time, and out of these stocks there were only actually 3 where I said they both had good technical analysis swings and they had some good fundamentals, so I would actually consider buying into them. Because we should consider, and let's just have a look at the first one here, the workhorse. We should consider that even though we are swing trading and maybe are just in for a couple of weeks or a month or something like that, we should always consider not buying stocks that are just on the brink of collapse. That is not 1 second away from bankruptcy, because that simply just adds to our risk. So if we can find some good setups, some good swing trading candidates that are also quite sound fundamentally, then that is the best combination for me, at least. So, but let's just have a quick look at them. I mentioned workhorse. That was not really a candidate for you. That was just to show you that what I'm going for is I'm going for stocks. Now let's just have the right index here to compare with. I'm going for stocks that is doing better than the overall index, and we can see that here when this line is above the 2 moving averages down here. We can see that this is strong in comparative relative strength. So, and we also want the weekly RSI to be above 50. Then we know we have a stock that in the longer term is in a good trend here. But then we want to have a look here, and we want to see the RSI above the 50 line on the daily chart, and we want a swing down towards the 20 SMA, or at least getting close, and then we want some green days kicking away from the 20 SMA. And the example here with workhorse was that was what we saw here. I actually took a little position in that one and I'm still in, but it's not fundamentally sound, so it's not really a good candidate here. Now, let's see the next on the list. Cytokinetics. And let's just see here how it has done. This was one of the stocks I said had lousy fundamentals, so I probably wouldn't buy it. And as we can see here, we had the 2nd of July here, ended in around just about below $25. It went right up 16-17%, but right now it is down with 6%. Right now it is below its 20 SMA, so if I would have had it in my portfolio, I might want to consider selling it soon, but since it was not fundamentally sound, I would not have bought it. Now the next one was fundamentally sound, and that was the Storm Ruger, the stock, I think it was an arm producer, weapons producer, and what we could see, and I'm just taking the end price at the 2nd July, It ended just around 78.70, and in this moment of recording, that would be down with around 2.4%. So that is not a lot. It has been up a little bit, but not really, and it has made a bounce more on the 20 SMA. The buy rules are still, or the setup here is still okay on the weekly chart. So since the stock, the price has not dipped down below the 20 SMA down here and kind of building a base down here, then if I had this in my speculative portfolio, I would not be selling. And down something like 2.5% or something like that is definitely not something to be too concerned about. Now, the next one on the list is the Model N, MODN. Also one of the stocks that I said was not very strong fundamentally. The setup, of course, was there, and it also took off. It actually took off the day before I mentioned it here. And right now we are at minus something like 9.5%. But this is one of the stocks I would not have taken due to the fundamentals. The next one on the list is K12. That's the ticker symbol LRN. And this is one of the stocks that I said were the most fundamentally sound on the list. And would you look here, actually I got the true signal here on the 1st of July, but I mentioned it in a video here on the 2nd. So I'll take it from here to be fair, just around 31. And right now we are up at 50% here. And now this is one of this is a good example as to what to do with these swing trades, because it doesn't matter if we only have 50% winners, meaning 50-50, the half of our swing trades are losers and the other half are winners. And it actually doesn't even matter if you only have 20% winners or 30% winners, as you might remember from the Turtle Trader video, because when we get a good winner and we let it run, then it can actually make quite a lot. Now it's down a bit today, and with a stock like this, if you might remember from the other video, I said you could go down on a lower time frame to make sure that you get a bit of a better potential exit. You can see here we have on the 1 hour time frame, we could actually see that we bought it down at 30 something, and now we could see that if it breaks the 20 SMA on the hourly time frame, we could get out somewhere around 42, 43 maybe. So that is entirely up to you. I'm just giving you some different suggestions here. But just saying that one of the 3 candidates that were actually fundamentally sound has by now made around 50%, which I think is quite fair. The next one was not fundamentally good. It was, let's just have a look here from the 2nd, that was DOMO. And it did go up in the beginning. And of course, we can also see stocks that are not very good on the fundamental side that goes up by hundreds of percent. But I just like to have that fundamental aspect into the calculation. So I buy good, sound companies also. Because sometimes the stock might keep going up for weeks or months or maybe a year before you get a sell signal. And in that case, you do like, for instance, in this case like DOMO, if you have been in here, you do like to see that it is fundamentally good. It is not really, and of course the fundamental part would have kept us out of this great run up here, but that is just how it is. DOMO would not have been on my list. That would the next one, TPI Composites, would have been on my list, and let's just see how that one is doing. That was one of the stocks I said was fundamentally quite good. And that we would have bought here around 24.30, and that one would right now be up by around 10.5%. The last 2 are not really ones that I did recommend. We have the GRAF Industrial Corp, you know, this money holding company just waiting for, in this case, some sort of electrical vehicle hype stock to get into. That one was not making money, it was not sound, it was purely lottery speculation, and glad we didn't put that on our recommended list, because that one is down 13%. Right now it is actually making, earlier today when I started researching for the video, it was making a better candle here, and I actually thought of having it on my list again, and we can do that just for the fun of it. But right now I do not like candles with this big wick on top, because that means that the buyers have been buying this one up, and then the seller said, nah, we'll take some profit and sell it back. And of course, we are only about an hour into the market right now, so a ton of things can happen. But just to give you an idea of what I'm looking for. The last one was this Brainstorm, that I think should be Brainstorm. To be honest, I haven't looked it up. This one was not fundamentally good, absolutely not, but it is still up. So we could, of course, have taken it and been up by 16%. So overall, no matter if we had actually taken all of the stocks and invested an equal amount into them, we would actually be in the positive right now. But since, or at least the way I would invest, that would only be the Storm Ruger with a little minus right now, a little loss of 2.5%. Then we had the K12 of 53% and the TPI composite of around 10 or 11%. So over the last couple of weeks, the three candidates that was the best on my list actually have made quite a killing. You could say just around 60% altogether divided by 3, meaning that they would, if I would have split my money in 3 and put them into them, I would have made something like 20% on my money. And if we just compare to the index, because of course what we want to do is we want to beat the index. That is all that this is about. And we can see here from the end of July 2nd and up until now, the S&P 500 is up 2.5%. So 20% is almost 10 times, or at least 8 times the rise in S&P 500. So that is quite an okay start. But what I will do is that every second week or something like that, I will make a new video with some candidates. I'm scanning for them every single day, so I do get candidates every day. But every now and then I will make a video where I do evaluate how did my candidates perform and give you some new ones. So of course today I will give you some new ones. And we'll just have the US swing 2 here. And today we have 7 candidates here, and there are actually only 2 of them that I would really say is fundamentally sound also. But let's have a look at them. Now let me just say that it is not more than an hour ago that I actually made my my little research here for the stock, the scan for the stocks. And then of course I got the live data. So at that point, what we actually saw here was a very nice candle. We saw here that we was almost in the green zone. We are actually not 100% there. So this was a kind of a on the almost candidate here, but one that you could consider. BECN Roofing Supply. And what I did see at this point was that this one was shooting up quite nicely. And we had a retracement. It was shooting up above the 20. And what I did see at the point I made my research was that this was a good, nice green candle. Now the sellers has come in, as I suspect they will in the market. These days there are coming a lot of Q2 announcements from the companies. We saw Netflix yesterday and so on. And many of these Q2 numbers will be bad. I have said it again and again in my videos. I simply don't see this V-shaped recovery taking place. When I hear the news, I simply can't get how the big banks are trying to convince us that there has been this V-shaped recovery. I don't see it in the numbers. The unemployment numbers are bad and so on. So we, as I have mentioned a lot of times, we should be careful looking at the companies, their estimates for the future. We can just take the first one here. We can take the BECN Roofing and just look at the fundamentals. Let's just see here. BECN Roofing Supply. Here it comes. And as we can see here, the stock rank is actually okay. So that was a reason for me first looking at here the PETQ ratio, where we take the price earning divided by the estimate future growth in earnings, are 1.1. That's great. Below 2, that's okay. We can see that the the normalized earnings per share here is a bit chubby. Petrovsky score at 4. It is down here. We can see that the free cash flow has also dropped quite dramatically. So what we can see, working capital is going up. This is actually one of the stocks I think I have written by mistake that was not fundamentally sound, because it is actually on the edge of being okay. They are making money. The working capital is going up, so my mistake here. The reason why I had put an arrow down on this is that their interest coverage is in the negative. So this is a maybe stock, is something that we might consider. The trend is not completely what I like yet, and the interest coverage, I do like that to be quite high, because this means that they are actually not making money enough to pay for the interest on their debt. And that is definitely something that I urge you to consider, the entire debt issue. I know that we have been used to just being able to borrow money for almost zero in interest, but at one time, believe me, the interest will go up. And I know you might think, yeah, well, the Fed is still keeping it down. That is only a matter of getting to a time where the inflation starts to pick up, and it actually already has. And I know the official numbers are not really there yet, but if you look at the underlying numbers, the inflation has actually started to go up. And when that starts, Fed cannot artificially keep, or at least it gets a lot harder to artificially keep the interest rate down, and that means that heavily leveraged companies, they will suffer. But that was still a long story. The Beacon roofing here, the trend is a bit, it's not completely there, and the fundamentals are not there, so I would not put it on my list for today. Now, as I mentioned, the GRAF stock actually turned up again on my list, on my scanning when I did the first one today. And that one I would definitely not consider, even though it shows some good swing potential. Then it is one of these EV hype stocks, and there are absolutely no earnings in there. All right, then we have the next one on the list, and that is the Natural Grocers by, I think it is some vitamin cottage here. That it must be some natural stuff with some vitamins. I haven't dug into that one, but the ticker symbol is NGVC, and what we see here is that it is in the green zone, looking good. It has been a bit choppy, but we have actually been able to get some good buy signal here. We might have been sold out up here with a nice 30-40% profit. It did jump up here, and we might have been we could actually have gone in here. It was bouncing off the 20 SMA. What I do like to see is that the 20 SMA is getting a bit curved up. So as you can see here, the drop down here is so strong that it drags the 20 SMA down. And what we can see now is that the 20 SMA is starting to curve upwards. So the run up today, I would just wait a bit if I were to swing trade this one, because I just want to see that the buyers are still there a couple of hours into the market. I'm not sure what the name is in the United States or anywhere else, but in Danish we're calling the first hour or an hour and a half of the trading day, we're calling that the crazy hour. That's often where all the amateurs are coming in and so on. So I do want to see the crazy hour being over, but this one could actually be one of the best candidates of today. If we're just looking at it here, let's just have a look. Here it comes. You can see 96 on the stock rank, looking good all over. 4.5 in the PETQ ratio is just on the expensive side, but that is for calculated for on the estimates for next year, and I'm not planning to hold that as a swing trade for so long. You can see here it is earning money, looking fairly well. The cash flow is turning into positive. That is also great. We can see that they can cover their interest payments, sales growth and earnings per share growth is absolutely great. Working capital The last one, the small blue one here, is trailing 12 month. I'm not looking too much into that. And the net debt is kind of stable. So this is actually the stock that I would recommend, or I wouldn't say recommend because I'm not a financial advisor, but on my swing trading list of today, this is the stock that will have the best, that would be the top candidate in my opinion. All right, let's have a look at some of the rest here. We have a few left. We have the WRAP Technologies, and as you can see here, it was actually yesterday and also a couple of days before that, they made bounces off the 20 SMA. Today it has been up, been going a bit back here, but it is in the green zone on the weekly. It is looking good on the RSI here. Even when we get our retracements, we are not even getting down on the 50 line here. And I do like to see that we have this upwards momentum, keeping away from the 50 line on the RSI here on the daily chart. So on the technical, WRAP Technologies here, WRTC on the ticker, is absolutely a possibility, but let's just have a look at it here. We have the WRAP Technology. Let's see here, as you can see, absolutely terrible fundamentals just looking at this. They can't even calculate the different ratios. The earnings per share normalized, terrible. Cash flow, a big black hole. Working capital, oh yes, there is a bit of that. Net debt, so they're not completely, you can see their interest coverage is of course 100, because if they don't have net debt, then that can be, of course there are no interest to pay here, but this is not really a company, of course you could consider swing trading it. In the Stockopedia here, when you look at this, you can actually see where the overall stock rank has been for a while. And of course, there's no doubt that a stock can go up in price, even though the fundamentals are terrible. But I do like to combine the two and both have strong fundamental stocks and a good swing trading setup. But that is just me. I'm an old conservative dinosaur at that point. So there might be some of you that want some more risky and speculative trades. Now I took this one on, it came up on the scanner, it's just, it wasn't in the green zone last week, but it just tipped into the green zone this week, and since it is Friday, and of course it can change, but this one is turning upwards. And what I do like to see on the weekly chart is when we have these formation that are forming, they can also be okay on the daily chart, but when we see them, we have lower tops, we have higher bottoms here, meaning that the buyers and sellers are fighting here on the larger time scale on the weekly chart. And then we see a break up to the one side. If it can hold that, or maybe even dive a bit down again and have a jump up here, meaning that I would like to see next week that this one, the 20 SMA, keeps going up. It dives a bit down here, and then it jumps off the 20 SMA. So this is actually not really a candidate for today, but more something I'm putting on my maybe list, and I'm having a look for it next week if it can turn right out there and keep its momentum. So Evelyn Health, when we look at that one, as far as I recall, they are not extremely solid here. They have a 21. That is not very impressive. We can see their earnings per share negative, so already here, no thank you, nothing for me. Free cash flow, they do not have money in their hands to do anything. Working capital, there is a little, but it has been quite empty here, and the interest coverage is negative, so no thank you. The funny thing is that out of 15 analysts or brokers here, we do have a buy. 3 months ago it was a strong buy, now it is only a buy, but I haven't dug into this company, so I shouldn't say exactly what could be the reason for this. But I am not one of these guys that analyze the stock and say, yes, this one has maybe a new product coming out, or the CEO is promising that everything is going to be great. I do want to see trends in the price and in the earnings, even though it is on the swing trading form here, meaning that I'm not going too much into the earnings and too much into the fundamentals. I simply just don't want to swing trade a company holding it for 2 or 3, 4 or 6 months, and then having a company on the brink of complete collapse. All right, 2 companies left today, and that is, let's have a look here, PETQ with the ticker PETQ, and technically looking fantastic. It is just bouncing on the 20 SMA. We can see it is in a green zone. It has been, it has taken these 2 tops out, so this is actually quite great. Let's just have a look at the fundamentals here coming in. And as you can see, the momentum is great. The quality of the earning is not that great. It has an overall stock rank here at 43. PETQ ratio at 0.4. That is actually okay. That is because they are estimating an earnings per share growth of 182%. And the Petruski score is 1, meaning that it is absolutely not great. And the bankruptcy risk is in the gray zone, in the cautious here on the Altman C score. Earnings per share are estimated to pick up in here in 20 and 21, but then again, the estimates in this current environment, I wouldn't trust them too much. The free cash flow in 19, it just went a bit positive, but trailing 12 month, if we are looking at that, is a big black hole here. They cannot pay their interest, so not really someone I would personally look at, but of course you can pick it as a swing trading candidate. It is looking fairly well here, bouncing off the 20 SMA. So the last one of today is the Luminex Corp, LMNX here. And this one is in the green zone, just pumping up there this week. And as you can see, it was also in the green zone on all of the way up here, where we could maybe have caught some good swings. There was some potential there anyway. Right now, it has gone up through the 20 SMA, stalled a bit. Coming up, we actually got the first real buy signal here. But today, it is going up quite well, as almost 6% today. And this is actually quite a good buy signal. You can see that on the daily chart, the RSI is above 50. Some people have asked me, what about earlier tops, former tops here? As long as it is one top, I'm not really concerned. Sometimes we do see a number of tops going up to this point like this. And if we see 2 or 3 going up here, then I do not buy straight up into an area where I can see that a lot of big sellers have been dumping stocks. That would be, in my book, quite crazy. But as long as it is one stock, and we know what happened here, actually it went up quite well when everything was going down, and then it has been going down here when most stocks have gone up. So right now it is going up, and the buy signal is quite okay actually. If we look at it here, LMNX, the last one of today, Luminex. Let's just have a look. The fundamental part, quite okay here. When we just have a look at the stock rank, it looks okay. Then we can see that their earnings per share has been in the positive territory, but in 2019 it dipped down, and then 2021 they are estimating it to go up. So this actually is an okay candidate. If you're looking at the free cash flow, 2019 was also a hard year here, but otherwise it has been quite stable. When we're looking at the interest coverage, it is negative, and that is of course because we've had this 1 year in the negative. The working capital is quite steady. Let's just see if we can have a graph here. That is quite steady here, and they have a negative net debt, so that is kind of funny why the net interest coverage is negative. I would have to dig into this. This is actually a stock where I am thinking that the fundamentals could justify that we could have a buy. They did have one down year last year, but overall kind of stable company, and it seems like they have one of the better buy signals right now. So I think I will put this on my, could I say, recommendation list. As you know, I'm not giving recommendation, but Luminex on the list of stocks today that turned up on my scanner, Luminex is one of the ones that I would have to consider, along with this natural grocers here that are just exploding today. Now it is Friday. I wouldn't buy it today, not on this one, but as you can see, there are on the daily time frame, there are some tops here, and what I would like to see next week is a continuation up here, a little drop down, and then maybe buy it on the drop down, or waiting for a little retracement here, but buying it up around the 16, 16.2, 16.3, somewhere like that. That would be an absolute good setup, I would say. All right, that was all for now. We look at the former candidates, how they have been doing, and we look at some new candidates. And in a couple of weeks, I will make a little evaluation of the candidates that we looked at today. That's all for now. If you haven't done already, remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and so on. And remember to take care of yourself and your money out there. Bye for now.